and more. Business registration goes digital on November 28th, 2022. Follow us on Facebook and YouTube to learn more about the OBRS.
Wake up to positivity and inspiration. It's a fresh and diverse twist on your mornings. Tune in to Sun Up on 7 every weekday morning at 6:30 a.m. right here on your nation station, Channel 7. It's the morning show you don't want to miss.
I must be dreaming.
Oh no, honey bun, you're not. Everything you hear so far, that's true. Delta Store has a new look. Delta Store is at the same location, right down Albert Street. Delta Store has a wide variety of fabric. Delta Store offers quality and savings. Everything in a Delta Store is only $4.99 or less. Snap out of that dream and head on down to Delta Store today.
Hola. Disculpa por no llegar anoche. Lo siento. He estado hace tiempo con ganas de decirte algo. Últimamente estoy lidiando con mis problemas de salud mental.
I think if there was no stigma around mental health, I'd be more open about what I'm going through on the inside. And I don't know, maybe I'd find that other people in my life are actually going through the same thing.
Há alguns anos, comecei a contar para outras pessoas sobre minha ansiedade. Isso me ajudou a descobrir ótimas formas de como lidar com ela.
Soy muy sociable. Creo que si hablara sobre mis problemas de la salud mental, simplemente no lo creerían. Por eso no hablo de ello.
Me preocupa que si la gente se enterara de mi salud mental, pensarán que soy débil. Por eso me aislé. Pero creo que voy a cambiar esto.
The IBL committee will be bringing out the rings and trophies this Saturday, November 26th, at the Belize Civic Center. Will this be the end of the tournament? And will 15 kings be crowned? Or will there be a decisive and third game 3? This Saturday, the Belize Civic Center will not be the same. A king not named Charles will possibly be crowned, or a superstar will force a game 3. Will there be a champion? 7:30 p.m. will be the battle for third and fourth place between the Belize Coast Guard and the Belize Water Service. And then,
Let's get ready to rumble. If you are what you say you are.
in the grand finale of the night, the superstars will be out in Game 2 of the Best of 3 series. Rico Black and the Toughing of Tours, led by Francis Naitiarana, Ian Renee, and Jamal Kelly drew first blood and are now ready to close off the Central Health Customs squad, led by the #1 point guard in the land, Glency Cooper Lopez, alongside Akeem Evans and Stephen Wade, seeking to force it all the way to Game 3. Breaking news caught up to a tough enough player after their big W. What message you have for the Central Health Customs guys?
Tell her that the series over and we're about to.
The half tank will feature the young and dynamic Belize superstar Yastalia performing her hit song Tropic.
In the tropics, I'm the hot topic. I built the tribe. I'm living just another level.
Bring out the entire family this Saturday, November 26th to the Belize Civic Center. Sponsors: Racina's Imports, J&W Supermarket, Mahib's Wholesale, Barefoot Hotel, Cabana Used Clothing, Midway Wholesale, Mirage Belize, Car Guys, Harris Import, Prestige Auto Sales, Cellular World, Posh and Store, VIP Wireless, Nando's Wholesale, Benny's Home Center, Crystal Water, Sprite, Powerade, Travelers, Channel 5 and Channel 7, Creme, Wave, Love FM and More FM. Let's get it on!
Uncut is back this Wednesday at 7:30 on Channel 7 when my guest will be William Dawson. He's the chairman of the Leadership Intervention Unit and he works along with Deputy Commissioner of Police Richard Rosado. They say they're making a difference in the streets by creating a culture of peace between the gangs. But are our communities any safer than they were a year ago? I'll challenge them on that. Tune in to Uncut Wednesday night, 7:30, Channel 7.
Wednesday.
Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
There were 3 cruise ships visiting Belize today, and at the start of the tourist season, downtown had quite a number of tourists filtering through. And right there at around 10 a.m. in the very heart of downtown, a succession of gunshots shattered the peace of the morning air. It came from police, a crowd of them trying to deter a dangerous, mentally ill man who was walking the streets with a butcher knife. But as many as a dozen officers were unable to deter him in a standoff that lasted more than a minute. And when Francis Ramos finally charged at a police officer with his knife, it was too late. Cherise Halsall tells us what happened next.
This was the shocking scene that went viral across Belize today. A cluster of cops hovering over Francis Ramos, firing warning shots as he charged towards an officer with a knife. Warning shots turned into a kill shot, and Ramos lay dead on the sidewalk of the swing bridge, the butcher knife he brandished in front of him. An unbelievable flash of violence on the country's most iconic bridge. The city's main artery had become a crime scene, and police were there to investigate one of their own who had shot him. Alex Babb, the owner of Bucket Bar on the river's edge, was sitting at this table, looking over the river and having a snack, when his breakfast was interrupted by the sound of gunshots.
You were sitting down here. Oh, shit.
Right there. I saw here gunshot. So when we look so now, we see a gentleman when he just shoot, surrounded by police officers. They were telling him to put the knife down, and he did not. That happened for about 5 minutes. Then the victim decided to attack the police officer with a knife. They were shooting at him earlier, but they were only shooting in his feet.
Okay.
To make him put down a knife. When he attacked the police officer, the officer was shooting him down, but at the end of the day, this man was gonna
stop the police.
Yeah, and that was when he took the fatal shot. He heard the first shot, then they were chasing him, and he stopped on the bridge because they surround him.
So now he aggressed towards the police.
Yes.
And the police had no choice.
No choice. He has been in many confrontations out here with the people.
The mental?
Yes, mental ill. But you know, they don't have no place for them guys that believe no more. So they're in the mercy of the world. Well, I know them are killing. Because when the police officer was saying that to put down the knife, I know he was not going to put down the knife. I knew that he was not going because he's mental.
And this was far from Ramos's first run-in with the police. Back in 2013, he was sentenced to 7 years in prison after he pled guilty to the attempted murder of Michael Young, a boyfriend of a relative. And last year, he had to be subdued by police with a shot to the foot after he chopped a man to the head and attempted to attack a responding officer with a machete. It meant that this morning's confrontation was with a man who had a history of violence. But that justification doesn't make his death, a broad daylight shooting in the middle of the city, any easier for those who loved and cared for him. People like his friend and one-time classmate, Anita Nemhard.
I honestly think that we really need to understand how to deal with these kind of people, and I don't think there's something in place that allows them to know that they can go to a safe zone. So they remain on the street, and that's where he has been. I was in court and I heard something happen at the bridge, and because I'm a reporter, I just went to see what it was, right? Not knowing that I would find my friend. it's hard because, you know, I saw Francis, I think it was Monday of this week, and there was an incident where I was standing right under this road, and I heard a van just stop suddenly, and then I saw Francis, you know, just came in front of the van, you know, and in his behavior, like, because he's mentally, and, you know, he just screamed out, and I tried to go towards him, and he just got in the direction, so I didn't even get to say nothing to her. I just know that was him, and, you know, the state that he's in, and, you know, just last year, we took him out for his birthday, you know, so it's very emotional just to see my friend lying down there. You know, I took my camera and I zoomed in, and then as I saw the person, he's wearing the same clothes from Monday when I saw him out here. Only to know that, you know, he died like that. I believe that they should have, but like I say, I don't know if they're trained yet or still not understand how to deal with these kind of people. And I see them a lot. We see them a lot in our country and in downtown, the busiest part that anything can happen with them. I've seen a lot of stuff happen with these kind of people. So I know that it's time for us to do better. We have to do better, because even if he had that knife or whatever object, that they could have dealt with it differently than to shoot him and kill him like that.
And indeed, tonight, many are wondering just that about a police department that isn't equipped technically or tactically to deal with cases of dangerous mentally ill persons. Charisse Halsell, 7 News.
Tonight, the Commissioner of Police is rejecting that characterization. He's saying the police officers did the only thing they could in an impossibly dangerous and unpredictable situation. He held a press briefing a few hours ago and referred to the video, which he says demonstrates the clear, present and non-negotiable danger facing the police.
I saw a video that is all over social media already that depicts exactly what happened. So it's not about the police version. It is more about what the video depicts. And from what I saw, we have a person who the police were in pursuit of due to complaints that was made to the police about him. He was cornered on the bridge by some police officers who sought to detain him. While they were doing so, he moved towards one of the police officers who was in plain clothes. The police officer quite professionally and calmly stepped back way and first fired one shot to one leg. The person continued to advance to the police with the knife. The police again, exercising great restraint, considering his life to be in danger, he again fired another shot to the other leg. That still did not neutralize the individual. I don't know if he was under drugs or some substance, but after the second shot to the other leg, he continued to advance in a more aggressive manner to the police with a big knife in his left hand, as you can see in the video. And the police moved from the lower limbs to the upper body and fired one shot, causing the person fatal injury. Now, I don't know what people expect of the police, but let me say that the deceased person, who has been identified as Francis Ramos, if you all would go and check your archives, you would see that in 2013, he was convicted of attempted murder after he viciously stabbed a person on Bannock Street. In 2021, last year, he was again charged for a stabbing of another individual. And in that same incident, when the police had gone to arrest him, he swung at the police with a machete. Thankfully, the police was quite fit and versatile. He avoided the blades of that machete. If not, he would have killed a policeman last year. Then here we are now in 2022, the same violent individual, again with knife, charging at police officers. As far as I can see, the police did what he could have done in the circumstances. And I have since ordered a criminal and an internal investigation just to go through the formalities, look at all the evidence and everything. And when the criminal investigation is done, the file will be sent to the DPP office for a determination to ascertain if, in fact, the DPP will be satisfied that the police acted in self-defense.
But while that's the compulse position, one eyewitness who captured the video of the altercation on the bridge has a totally different view. He feels strongly that the police could have talked Ramos down instead of continuing to fire bullets after bullets. And he was also concerned for the safety of the wider public and passing cruise visitors during the shocking incident in the heart of downtown. He's known Ramos all his life and saw his friend's life end painfully, and he believes unnecessarily. Our eyewitness chose to appear off camera.
My inspector lady made a walk past. I don't know what he tell the lady tell the young man, but I see inspector lady start running off of the bridge. When run off of the bridge, I see a monk of police start call, and we hear about over 15 shots start bust. And we handle the tell her, you can't do anything in a public. Come on, innocent lady and baby made a walk on the bridge at the same time. And later for run off of the bridge with the prom, with the baby for get shot innocent. Car prom tell the man, cease fire. You know, not have to shot this man. Cease fire, can talk to this man, can't know this man. And the man gone against his car prom harder and still shoot. And we had to tell the man, no start the man, hold it down, make you try to talk to the man for honor. About 3 to 4 seconds, man, every minute you shot the ball, shot the fire all over by a bucket bar. You know, come easy, stop and talk to this man, I get a knife from the man. Then I never have me shot the man like that. I get the man so much shot, because the man I know a dog, the man have family. How they may I feel if I want for their family? They're going to hurt like that. They may want justice. You know, all I have to say to Mr. Chester, I do respect everything, Mr. Chester. I need to put a policeman there. In our check, we respect our manners and everything, Mr. Chester, because this is going really out of control. Have to put our justice to this, because what are they? They kill a man out of Swingbridge, policeman want free. What happened? We never got no tourists of these people afraid for walk about street business place are shut down. And that happening in our public. Innocent people bullet fly but left and right. Innocent people could hurt all of that.
But for the commissioner, that kind of second guessing is wishful thinking. He says that based on the evidence, it was either life of the attacker or the police officer which would have been lost on that bridge.
The question is, we know that once it had gotten to that point where this individual was charging the officer had no choice but to fatally wound him. However, there were many police officers on that bridge. Wasn't there a moment prior where these officers could have gotten the situation under control to take that knife away without having to kill this individual?
I don't know, Cherise. If you were in that position, what would you have done? I was not on the bridge to say what I would have done, but certainly anybody in their right mind is not going to try and aggress an allegedly madman with a knife. Because as much as you may say that they could have neutralized without using any lethal force, what would have happened if one of the officers jumped from off the railing of the bridge to where the individual was? It would take one simple move and he could stab and kill the police. So police officers are humans. They have flesh, they bleed blood. And it would take one simple move and we could have been the ones grieving the loss of one of our officers who would have been out there performing his duty to protect the public.
But did Ramos have to die? That's a question on the mind of many mental health advocates tonight who time after time again have witnessed brutal ends of Belizean citizens whose challenges put them on a collision course with the law. And earlier today, during the Compulse impromptu press conference, we challenged him on whether the police department's dependence strictly on lethal force in dealing with a mentally ill person is what led to an unnecessary death.
Sir, in a more advanced nation, perhaps this individual would have been dealt with a taser. When the Mental Health Association decides to say that today in Belize, this man's mental illness became a death sentence, how will you respond?
Is America an advanced nation? Huh? Is America an advanced nation? Does that fall within the category of advanced nation?
Perhaps more humane.
America, as far as I know, are the champions of human rights. As far as I know. But if you in America just take out a knife or any weapon, they don't wait. You're dead. So to say that in advanced nation, it would have been different, I don't buy that. The police officers exercise great restraint, and anyone who wants to condemn what the police officer did, something is wrong with them mentally as well.
And indeed, the death of Francis Ramos brings the plague of the mismanagement of mental health cases once more to the fore. Over the years, countless mentally ill persons have been killed in similar situations with the police. And that's because so many of them roam the streets. There's no system for handling persons in acute states of mental illness, and it's left to police to diffuse with these dangerous situations. The exasperated Compo says everything is thrown at his department.
Many people don't like the police until they meet the police. But the nature of our job dictates to us that it is not about who likes us. We have sworn to do a job, and we must do that job to the best of our ability. But again, everything is thrown at the police. Even things that should not be the police's responsibility. Like, for example, dealing with mental challenged persons is not the responsibility of the police. But again, because some organizations who are supposed to be there to deal with these persons are not doing it, then we have to be the ones to be out there confronting these individuals. Be it as it may, I have seen many mentally challenged persons, and they are not aggressive. You speak to them, they listen, and they're calm. But obviously, history has shown us that Mr. Ramos is an aggressive person. And when you're dealing with an aggressive person, you have to be extremely careful. And so I would not even have advised the persons from the mental health institutions to accost a person of Ramos' nature, because perhaps they would have been killed. Just as we saw, I believe it was the case with the guy Elijio, I hope that's the name, who had caused the death of Mr. Vasquez's brother in the cell block. When he was taken to the mental health hospital, he also injured the nurse who was there. So again, police, health professionals, and anybody who have to confront mentally challenged people have to do so cautiously and must always ensure to have their personal safety at the forefront of their thinking.
We'll keep following this story. We'll take a first break. When we come back, Richard Foster, the nature photographer, was murdered 4 years ago. Yesterday, his case came to a sad end. For his family, we'll have the update. And Dean Barrow and Godfrey Smith duke it out for Caribbean International Brewery's $3.1 million. Don't worry.
Many people
this X-Massive season, get rewarded and build up your B-Bucks at Benny's. Look out for the special B-Bucks Builder sticker when purchasing tiles, paints, home goods, appliances, and more to earn 10, 20, 50, or even 300 B-Bucks on a single item. Remember, B-Bucks is free money. The more you build up your B-Bucks, the more you have to use across all Benny's locations and entities. Make this Christmas season X-Massive with B-Bucks. B-Bucks, rewarding loyalty.
Skip the trip to the bank and perform cash withdrawals at your neighborhood store with Atla Express. Withdrawals are now free. and customers can withdraw up to $300 daily. All you need is your Atlantic Bank Visa debit card along with an ID. Atla Express is easy, convenient, secure, and near you. Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
We about give thanks. Yes, shoppers, in giving thanks, Mikado's introducing a new sale, the best one yet. It's not a Thanksgiving sale, it's a Give Thanks sale. Thanks for making Mikado Belize's #1 textile store. Join us in a massive Give Thanks sale on November 25th and 26th. That's 2 days of Give Thanks sale. So, you just can't let the sale slide by you, as you know. Yes, and the sale goes on. So come on down to Mikado on Friday the 25th and Saturday the 26th of November and get your home furnishing and decors all at great prices that only Mikado can give you. Your one-stop for fabrics and so much more. Mikado at number 37 Albert Street. Give Thanks Sale, your textile palace.
Safe, welcoming, the start of a new chapter. Your home is one of life's biggest investments. Let's protect it. Have you made any recent additions to your property? If so, your home may not be adequately insured. The average clause states that if the amount insured is less than the cost to rebuild, you, the insured, will become your own insurer for the additional amount. To better understand this, let's look at two homes equally valued at $150,000. Home 1 was insured for $150,000, but later, an additional $50,000 was invested into the home. This means that the home is now inadequately insured for only 75% of its value. Home 2 was insured for $150,000 3 years ago, and you haven't invested in any additions. However, inflation and the rising cost of building materials mean that rebuilding the same home today will cost $180,000. This means your home is inadequately insured for only 83% of its value. Therefore, if both homes suffer a $50,000 claim in damages, Home 1 will only be entitled to 75% of this claim, $37,500, and Home 2 will only be entitled to 83% of the claim, $41,500. To avoid this from happening to you, we invite all policyholders to call your Atlantic Insurance agent for guidance today. Being adequately insured gives you the peace of mind to focus on family and life's precious gifts. Atlantic Insurance, insuring you from life's unexpected.
Wake up to positivity and inspiration. It's a fresh and diverse twist on your mornings. Tune in to Sun Up on 7 every weekday morning at 6:30 a.m. right here on your nation station, Channel 7. It's the morning show you don't want to miss.
If you've got a lot more good years ahead of you, if you exercise and eat right, but what if something happened? What if you were the 1 in 3 that will be diagnosed with cancer? If you were the 1 in 4 who would suffer serious heart issues? What if it ruined more than your health? What if it ruined your financial stability as well? Sagicor's critical illness solutions can give you confidence in the face of every what if. Let's help you plan for the what ifs today. Talk to your Sagicor advisor or visit sagicor.com.
IBL committee will be bringing out the rings and trophies this Saturday, November 26th at the Belize Civic Center. Will this be the end of the tournament? And will 15 kings be crowned? Or will there be a decisive and third game 3? This Saturday, the Belize Civic Center will not be the same. A king not named Charles will possibly be crowned, or a superstar will force a game 3. Will there be a champion?
Me all walk like a champion, talk like a champion. What a piece of money.
7:30 p.m. will be the battle for 3rd and 4th place between the Belize Coast Guard and the Belize Water Service. And then,
let's get ready to rumble. If you are what you say you are.
In the grand finale of the night, the superstars will be out in Game 2 of the Best of 3 series. Rico Black and the Toughing of Tours, led by Francis Knighty Arana, Ian Renee and Jamal Kelly drew first blood and are now ready to close off the Central Health Customs Squad, led by the #1 point guard in the land, Glency Cooper Lopez, alongside Akeem Evans and Stephen Wade, seeking to force it all the way to Game 3. Breaking news caught up to a tough enough player after their big W. What message you have for the Central Health Customs guys?
Tell them that the series over and we're about to.
The half-tank will feature the young and dynamic Belize superstar Yastalia performing her hit song Tropic.
In the tropics, I'm the hot topic. I built the tribe, I'm living.
Just another level!
Bring out the entire family this Saturday, November 26th to the Belize Civic Center. Sponsors: Racina's Imports, J&W Supermarket, Mahib's Wholesale, Barefoot Hotel, Cabana Used Clothing, Midway Wholesale, Mirage Belize, Car Guys, Harris Import, Prestige Auto Sales, Cellular World, Posh and Store, VIP Wireless, Nando's Wholesale, Benny's Home Center, Crystal Water, Sprite, Powerade, Travelers, Channel 5 and Channel 7, Creme, Wave, Love FM and More FM. Let's get it on!
Uncut is back this Wednesday at 7:30 on Channel 7 when my guest will be William Dawson. He's the chairman of the Leadership Intervention Unit and he works along with Deputy Commissioner of Police Richard Rosado. They say they're making a difference in the streets by creating a culture of peace between the gangs. But are our communities any safer than they were a year ago? I'll challenge them on that. Tune in to Uncut Wednesday night, 7:30, Channel 7.
Wednesday.
Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
In August of 2018, it made headlines when Richard Foster, the 74-year-old British filmmaker who made Belize his home, was found dead in the Rivera area of Belmopan. Several days later, police arrested and charged Andrew Clark, who was 31 years old at the time, Darwin Lincoln Jones, who was 26 years old at the time, and Edmund Anthony Pascasio, who was the youngest at 22 years at the time. All three men were jointly charged for murder. We are reliably informed that the main evidence came from the prosecution's lead witness, who gave testimony and placed himself at the crime scene with the two accused. He told the court that he simply accompanied Pascasio and Clark when they went to burglarize the victim's home. He also told the court that he was in Forrester's Toyota truck with the accused men when they went to the riverside in Belmopan. This witness then said that he observed when Pascasio walked Richard Foster down to the riverside. He also claimed to have seen when Pascasio stabbed Foster and left him at the bottom of the river. The presiding judge deemed this witness as an accomplice to these crimes, and since he was sitting in a trial without a jury, he warned himself of the dangers of accepting testimony from an accomplice who may be attempting to throw another accused person under the bus to save himself. In his ruling, the judge did not find this main prosecution witness to be credible. He also disregarded the alibi defense from the two accused persons, which he also did not find credible. But since the prosecution was already fighting an uphill battle without any other independent pieces of evidence, such as forensics or a murder weapon, the judge ruled that they did not adequately prove that the defendants were guilty of this crime. The judge then acquitted Pascasio and Clark of the murder charge, and they were allowed to leave the court as free men. The third co-accused, Darwin Jones, did not stand trial for murder because the prosecution withdrew their case against him. They had obtained information that while Jones participated in the burglary of the victim's home, he did not accompany the others to the Belmopan Riverside for the actual killing. We call it La Isla Bonita, but with offense to no one, it might be La Isla Basura. We say this because Ambergris Caye has a massive garbage problem. Residents have gotten into the habit of dumping garbage on the island or using it as landfill. And apart from it not being a good look for one of the most popular tourist destinations in Belize, it's also extremely harmful to marine life. But the town council is collaborating with the government for a garbage-free San Pedro, starting with enforcing the plastic ban that was put into law back in April. And to commemorate the town's 38th anniversary, a meeting was held today with the business community to take the first step forward. Courtney Menzies was on the island today and has this story.
The assessment has been done on that. It is irretrievable. I think that was done through port. They are working on that, but it's got damage. I think the person, I want to make it absolutely clear. There is nothing on record that has been discussed in cabinet about seismic. One-on-one discussions, it has been discussed.
The town of San Pedro will be turning 38 on Sunday, and what better way to celebrate than for the residents to make a conscious effort towards eliminating plastics from the island. And it's not just plastics. Litter on a whole is a major problem for the town council. As our news team circled the mangroves at the back of the island, we could see plenty of garbage stuck between the roots, a hazard to marine life. In fact, we even witnessed the passengers on this boat tossing a beer bottle into the water. And the town's mayor explained that this Township Day, the council has joined along with the area rep to start enforcing the plastic ban that came into law over 7 months ago.
We don't want to just celebrate it in a way that you say, all right, we're going to have a party, but we want to celebrate it in an impactful way that we are going to protect our environment, and we want that to be resounded, that we want to protect our environment. It is a great challenge. It is part of our highest cost of operation here on the island in the San Pedro Town Council. And plastic is everywhere. We have a lot of, the culture here on the island has always been to use it as landfill. And we want to discourage people from using it as landfill. We know that it is illegal to use it as landfill because they're using not only plastics, it's all sorts of garbage, and you're getting a lot of chemicals leaching out into the ocean, affecting our environment. So we want to discourage that. And apart that now it is illegal, we want to enforce it.
The issue here at stake is plastics. We know that we have legislation in place for plastics, and it's in place, and now it's high time that we as a community, a municipality, and support by a ministry to get all stakeholders involved. We're talking about the business sector as well. So this is the open invitation to everybody that we need to start to get the ball rolling. We need to involve our community and let them know what are the laws. And the aim today is to actually ban plastics from the supermarkets, from the restaurants, from the food vendors. Let me give you an example. When you go to buy a hot dog here in San Pedro, they serve you a hot dog, and they put it wrapped up with foil paper, and then they put it in a plastic bag, and they put some napkins inside. Imagine the amount of trash just for serving a hot dog.
And while there are tons of plastic products still used every day, from straws to utensils, San Pedro is starting with the bags by phasing them out of grocery stores.
The end game is to encourage our people to start bringing your own bags. And also the shopkeepers will be doing their part by providing these bags at a cost, but maybe asking them for the incentive of offering their first maybe 1,000 bags to their customer and say, listen, we are giving you a bag, we know you're a customer, but whenever you return the next time you don't bring your bag, we will sell you a bag. We know we're going to meet adversity. We know that the shopkeepers are going to say we are going to get into trouble with the customers, but we have to have enforcement. And that is another meeting we're going to have with the council today in having an enforcement team to walk in around the streets.
But the government is also introducing an alternative: eco bags that stores can purchase in bulk rather than using plastic bags. Businessman Jose Ketz was at the meeting today to explain more about this biodegradable product.
The eco bags are really our push to try and get into this new move from plastics. If you realize that all neighboring countries don't use plastics anymore, if you've been to Chetumal, you would find out that if you don't have an eco bag, they won't sell you a plastic. So I know the minister had asked us if we had eco bags, and of course we sell this. There's a big drive. I think there's a drive moving into Belize now, and so we have all the bags. We print them and we sell them. There's two types, but this type is the major type that right now the grocery stores would use. Sorry, I'm trying to see. They're very eco-friendly. And the beauty about this bag is that it will eventually become dust. It goes back into dust. It actually, it's a biodegradable bag, and it will eventually become dust again. So if you have it in your house, maybe after a year or whatever, and you go and you pick it up, it will be dust again. These bags are very durable, very strong. They're waterproof. They won't burst or whatever. There are other people selling them, but some of them aren't strong, as you might know. But these ones are very, very, very strong. We've put items in there to check the strength of it, and it's very, very strong.
And this municipality is leading the charge towards full enforcement of the law, something the Deputy Chief Environmental Officer hopes others will follow, especially since they're still having issues with illegal importation of plastics.
I think it is a really good initiative. Anything that goes to reduce the amount of waste that is disposed is, I think, very great for the country. What they're trying to do in here, I think, could be our model for the rest of the country to be able to do. We could see that similar initiatives are working across the Mexican side in Chetumal. They have something similar, and I think that is something that we need to adapt in country. Change that mentality that every time you go to the shop, you will get a bag to put in your groceries and whatsoever you buy. That has to change. Indeed, we have been having a lot of difficulties. There are some people that want to import 100% plastic products, which are not allowed. And so we also have find that, our borders are porous. And so there are some products that are coming that are not given the permit from us. And so that is the challenge that we are facing in trying to address that.
And by the end of the meeting today, the San Pedro vendors and business persons present agreed on the first step, charging 50 cents for every plastic bag until they are all phased out. It's the beginning of a long journey to rid the island of its garbage problem, but both the area rep and the mayor are hopeful. Courtney Menzies, 7 News.
Minister Paris is also encouraging tour guides to use less plastic as well, starting with the water bags they usually take on tours for the tourists. He believes tourists will be more than happy to comply and may even be intrigued by plastic-free tours. And while the minister agrees that plastics are hazardous to the environment, what's his opinion on seismic testing? Well, we asked him if the government is even considering offshore oil drilling, and he told us outright, no. He explained that in this age, there are other ways to make money from oil that's deep underwater other than drilling for it. And like the PM, Paris also believes that Oceana jumped the gun and called out its VP, Janelle Trinona. Here's what he told us today.
I want to make it absolutely clear. There is nothing on record that has been discussed in Cabinet about seismic. One-on-one discussions, it has been discussed what is out there as it relates to the blue economy. Let's not forget what is the blue economy. And we have to educate our people what is the definition of the blue economy. And the definition of the blue economy basically states is that whatever is out there available for us, that is there for us to take, to extract, whether it's seafood or whether it's out there, we do it in a manner that is environmentally friendly and at the same time very much sustainable. Now, back to what that organization sung the alarm bells like if the sky is falling down. That's what I call it. It's regrettable. It was unnecessary. And as the person in charge of the organization said that now that they have the national attention, I would go as far as saying that she's not really seeking national attention for her organization, but for herself. I want to be clear with you. I am part of a government that is very responsible, and no one in cabinet or in our government in their right mind would want to do any kind of drilling. 10, 15 years ago, if we were to discover oil out there, the only way to give it value was to extract it. What this organization fails to see is that nowadays, if you see today, we no longer look at the value of oil only extracted. There perhaps is more value by having that oil kept under the ground. The blue economy calls for having what is out there to give it, to quantify it, to add it to our economy. Trust me, these are the things that we have to look in consultation with our people. That is important as well. But we cannot be reacting, knee-jerk reaction. This is what this organization has done to say no to offshore drilling. We even haven't come to discuss that as yet. All right, so I call it, as far as being irresponsible. Very, very irresponsible. And also, it would seem that this organization is being left out because this economic sailboat is sailing out in a very responsible manner. I think that perhaps we do appreciate what this organization gets in terms of their funding, but I would want to suggest that she should rather invest it in our people right now. Many fisher folks got displaced. We need money right now. We lost almost $19 billion in damages right now. We have to find those funds to assist our fisher folks. This is where we invite this organization to work along with our department. We'll be happy to collaborate with them. In fact, I have not heard that organization say anything about hailing us for the Blue Bond project that we scored big last year. We have not heard her say anything about that. So I think that, in essence, it's much ado about nothing, national attention to herself and not really the organization.
And the minister added that seismic testing could even help to map out our reefs. This is after a 35-foot vessel was grounded back in March. Its owner, Canadian national Glenn Peter, had run into the reef in an area known as the Tranquility Channel. And now the rumbling will remain there forever, that is, since Paris has said that they are unable to remove it.
The assessment has been done on that. It is irretrievable. I think that was done through port. They are working on that, but it's got damage. I think the person, there's not much we can do for it. It's too much of a big project to extract from the reef. It's going to cost money, and we don't have that kind of money. But it's unfortunate that we have that. But we go back to your question. The last time that this seismic test was done was basically nothing to do with oil. It is basically trying to map out, and that's one of the problems, is that our waters are not properly mapped out. And that could have been perhaps a possibility why that ship, because they didn't have any kind of guidance.
Is it damaging the reef right now?
It's stuck in the reef and the assessment has done, but it's pretty much well embedded and it's going to be part of the reef eventually.
But, I mean, have they been fined or penalized for it?
I think the port dealt with it. Well, it's not for us to be dealing with, but rather that's a port matter.
We also asked Paris about the latest murder in San Pedro, a municipality that has seen its murder rate drop significantly over the last 4 years. The town's previous murder was over a year ago, but on November 19th, businessman Elvis Polanco was robbed and killed as he was heading home. But while San Pedro's murder rate is still much lower than it was in previous years, is crime picking back up? We asked the area rep for his thoughts.
The incident last weekend is very unfortunate. It's sad. We know the family. He's the hard-working family. He leaves behind a 3-year-old daughter. So that puts the community on a spot that says, what is our community heading in what direction? But what I can say is this is not our community. This incident does not define what the community is all about in terms of violence. So we need to be clear. It is an isolated case. Nonetheless, we're not going to put a blind eye to it. And again, it's the collaboration between the police department giving every single support about it, and as well as the council and leadership that we keep in touch as to these matters. I think that being a community that is tourist oriented, the nightlife is very much vibrant here. But I think that this highlights that there's issues about controls. You know, after midnight, whenever the people are participating and having alcohol consumptions after midnight, it's never going anywhere that's going to be more productive. So working along with the liquor license committee is important. And then this morning we spoke on the local radio TV, and we said it clear that for now we're going to take a little recess and avoid giving those extensions. That's important. So for now, and of working with the police department. What we're hearing, of course, is that maybe some suspects may have been involved as members of the police department. They are dealing with it, but it highlights that this is not Ambergis-Key, and we have to be careful that we do not show that image there of violence. It is a safe place, and showing the image out there that it still remains a place that we have controls.
A month ago, when we last reported on winding twists and turns in a court battle between Caribbean International Brewery Company and the Financial Intelligence Unit, the news of the Orange Walk Magistrates Court was that they were pushing to have their case heard at the Supreme Court. As we told you, the two sides have been attempting to convince Magistrate Deborah Rogers why she should or should not order the FIU to return $3.1 million of the company's funds, which a multi-agency law enforcement team's 26 Magistrate Rogers returned with a ruling that she would allow the FIU to introduce evidence against the company from the Belize Tax Services Department that there had been tax evasion. Barrow objected to court procedure last week and asserted that his clients were ambushed by evidence from an agency that did not confiscate the funds. Well, the magistrate disagreed, and shortly after she delivered her ruling, Barrow announced to the court that he would seek to trigger a review of that decision via constitutional challenge. That bypass attempt was supposed to happen via what is known in law as a case stated. CIB's lead attorney, Dean Barrow, was attempting to oblige a magistrate to state the case against his clients to the Supreme Court, because as we told you, the defendants believed their human rights were being violated. That was where things stood until a few weeks ago, when Barrow decided that a better avenue from the Magistrates Court to the Supreme Court was an application to bring a judicial review claim. That's where we pick up the conversation we had with Barrow outside of the Orange Walk Magistrates Court. Here's how he explained why he decided to abandon the case stated for an attempt at judicial review.
I opted for the judicial review because I thought that way I would have a chance, albeit slim, to get a stay, and if I would have been able to succeed in getting the stay, that would practically have meant that the money would have had to be returned. Going the route of the case stated would mean there would be no chance of getting that sort of interim order, and we would have had to wait until 8-9 months, long after the fact, and then just try to settle for damages if we were still able to show that what the magistrate did was wrong. So that was the reason for electing to go the route of judicial review. I made my case, and she declined to grant the interim stay. She said that when she looked at the balance of convenience, her position was that the harm has already been done to my clients. They're already suffering harm, and they seem to be managing, and so she did not think that it would be right to grant a stay, which would mean that they get back immediately their money, in effect making the extended judicial review proceedings almost academic. She said that, I hear you about your clients being prejudiced as long as the money is being detained, but, she said, if you succeed with judicial review, they can be compensated by a suitable award in damages. In other words, the loss that they're undoubtedly suffering from being operationally squeezed in consequence of not having all this money that they would use as working capital, that can be dealt with by a proper award in damages if you win down the road, which I don't quarrel with.
So that brings us to another chess move from the legal team representing the beer company. The two sides returned to the Orange Walk Magistrates Court for a continuation of evidence taking connected to the confiscation of those $3.1 million. But before the hearing could start in earnest, Barrow announced to the court that he was making an application that Magistrate Rogers should recuse herself on the grounds of appearance of bias. Here's how he justified that course of action to us when we asked about it in our interview.
The application for judicial review or for permission to bring judicial review is to challenge the magistrate, her jurisdiction, the orders made on the basis that those orders are a nullity, unlawful, without the proper authority under the statute within the context of which purports to operate. So, she is the respondent, or the first respondent, to our application. She is a party. The judicial review is basically against her. The Attorney General is the second respondent. The Attorney General is only joined, as I made clear to the court yesterday, because of two things. Number one, we are also asking, by way of the judicial review challenge that we're seeking, for constitutional redress. We're saying our clients' constitutional rights have been violated. If you're asked, once you bring in the question of the Constitution, the Attorney General also has to be there. But secondly, because the agents of the state that seized the money, the police, are functionaries of the Attorney General in effect, as is the magistrate, not a function of the Attorney General per se, but she is a state agent. She is a judicial officer operating for and in the service of the government of Belize. And so the Attorney General and representing the government of Belize is the entity that when we make this challenge against the magistrate, it is the Attorney General who has the responsibility of providing representation for the magistrate. That is what was in issue on Tuesday. When we got there on Monday and Mr. Smith asked for time, he indicated, as I recollect, that he had been just retained over the weekend by the Attorney General. He had been retained by the Attorney General, but to, as it were, represent all the Attorney Generals, all the agents of the state. That had to have included the magistrate. Otherwise, then, nobody represented the magistrate yesterday and on Monday. Makes no sense. He, as far as I'm concerned, represented the magistrate, defended the magistrate against the application that we brought. An application that arose out of this case that's before the magistrate. In my submission, the magistrate can't get the benefit of representation by Mr. Smith yesterday and then come back and sit today and allow herself to hear Mr. Smith in his representation of one of the parties before her when Mr. Smith has just represented her. That the ordinary man on the street will right away say, no man, there's something wrong with that. This lady can't continue to sit on a case where Mr. Smith is counsel before her when Mr. Smith is at the same time representing her in her own case of judicial review.
So since the allegation of appearance of bias is directly connected to Godfrey Smith, who is representing the Financial Intelligence Unit, we asked him for his views on that new application from the defendants. He insisted to us that in his opinion, the Crown's Barrow is relying upon to make that case is weak.
The last time we were here, the Council for the Caribbean Brewers International, being dissatisfied with certain rulings made by the magistrate, said he wouldn't wait for the case to conclude. He would apply for what's called a case stated, essentially trying to force the matter from the magistrate's court to the Supreme Court on grounds that his client's constitutional rights were being breached. He thought better of that, it appears, and withdrew it. In my view, it was bound to fail in any event. In replacement of that, he brought an application for permission for judicial review before the Supreme Court, and linked with that, he asked the court for an injunction. He called it an injunction. In my view, it ought to have been a stay of these proceedings before the magistrate. The High Court, the Supreme Court yesterday, refused to injunct these magisterial proceedings or refused to stay the proceedings, and in relation to his application for judicial review of the magistrate's rulings, the High Court said, let's wait and see what happens with these proceedings. So we come to court this morning prepared to resume and continue this matter that has been dragging out for a long time, in an unreal way actually, only to be met by an application that the magistrate ought to recuse herself, meaning she should withdraw from the case and no longer sit on that. Why? His grounds, as far as we can understand it, is that when he applied for judicial review to the High Court, it was his client versus the magistrate and the Attorney General. I appeared on behalf of the Attorney General. I said so on record, and we argued that the decision that no stay, no injunction should be granted. His allegation is because of that. The suggestion is that I am representing the magistrate, and therefore the magistrate will appear to be biased. Our position on that is, in judicial review proceedings where decisions of any tribunal are challenged, it's the decision, it's not the magistrate personally. So if I can draw an analogy, which you may be more familiar with, you go to court, two parties go to court, they argue a case, one side wins, the next side appeals to the Court of Appeal. What happens? The winning side, what does he do? He defends the decision that went in his favor. There's no conflict there if the matter is sent back to the High Court. So it's not the magistrate in her personal decision. It's a decision that one is dealing with. So questions of bias based on family connections, based on interests and so on doesn't arise. There are established grounds for actual bias and appearance of bias. In this case, the magistrate is not personally involved.
He also shared his observation that it appears that the lead attorney representing the brewing company has made persistent attempts to stall this case and its process through the magistrate's court.
To be honest, it may be a strategy, but one that I don't understand. But certainly, at every turn, he is at pains to stop this magistrate from making a ruling. As I said, whether by preliminary objections, whether by a case stated, whether by an actual application for injunction against the magistrate, I think I've never heard of before, but I confess I don't understand what the strategy is.
The During the heated discussion on this recusal application, Magistrate Rogers lamented to Senior Counsel Barrow that he keeps ambushing the court with these applications. Barrow indicated that at the end of this application and her ruling, he does not intend to bring any more applications because the defendants will rely on the judicial review application in the Supreme Court. When we come back, we'll have a hot story coming out of City Hall. The mayor and the city administrator at war after a company related to a councillor got a $1.2 million contract awarded by the council. And is Shine distancing himself from Saldivar because he wants to keep his US visa? The UDP leader bristled when Jules put that question to him.
Atla Express es un servicio que te permite realizar transacciones financieras cómodamente en comercios cerca de ti. Con Atla Express puedes retirar efectivo, realizar pagos de facturas y tarjeta de crédito, comprar recargas y transferir entre tus cuentas. Solo necesitas una identificación válida y tu tarjeta de débito Visa de Atlantic Bank. Si no eres cliente de Atlantic Bank, siempre puedes disfrutar de este servicio pagando en efectivo. Atla Express es fácil, conveniente, seguro y está cerca de ti.
What does family mean to you? Form a strong bond with your family.
Hey sis, how is friends?
Always remember, they may not be in the same place.
Coffee and friends, huh?
Make the time you spend together fun and memorable. Ignore the petty differences. Love them while you still can. Life can be short. You can be the glue that keeps them together.
You did a great job.
Family. Meaningful always.
Social Security, transforming service delivery. My Social Security is your secure online account to manage all your Social Security information. My Social Security launched in March 2021 with registration service to apply online for new or replacement Social Security cards. Upgrades to My Social Security continues with a new look, enhanced customer experience, and its newest feature, Sickness Benefit Online application. With My Social Security, you can create your account, log in, and take control of your Social Security information. This includes applying for a new or replacement Social Security card for yourself, child, or dependent. Make appointments online and submit your complete sickness benefit claim package. Our customer care team is here to provide you, our valued customers, with real-time support. Connect with one of our customer care agents through direct messages on WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, or live chat, or follow our YouTube channel for more information, tutorials, and guides. A complete 360 view of your Social Security information is coming soon, which includes a new employer portal for employers, businesses, and self-employed persons, contributions history and statements, all SSB benefits, medical portal for registered doctors, and fingerprint enrollment all in one place. Social Security at your fingertips. The significant enhancement of service delivery to you is here. My Social Security.
Scratch and Win would like to announce the launch of one new game loaded with new prizes. Your favorite game, the Loteria board game, is now a scratch game. La Chalupa, El Gallo, La Estrella. The new $3 ticket is called Loteria and has a top prize of $20,000. Ask your Scratch and Win agent for the new Loteria ticket to win up to $20,000.
Wake up to positivity and inspiration. It's a fresh and diverse twist on your mornings. Tune in to Sun Up on 7 every weekday morning at 6:30 a.m. right here on your nation station, Channel 7. It's the morning show you don't want to miss.
IBL committee will be bringing out the rings and trophies this Saturday, November 26th at the Belize Civic Center. Will this be the end of the tournament? And will 15 kings be crowned? Or will there be a decisive and third game 3? This Saturday, the Belize Civic Center will not be the same. A king not named Charles will possibly be crowned, or a superstar will force a game 3. Will there be a champion?
They all walk like a champion, talk like a champion. What a piece of money.
7:30 p.m. will be the battle for 3rd and 4th place between the Belize Coast Guard and the Belize Water Service. And then,
let's get ready to rumble. If you are what you say you are.
In the grand finale of the night, the superstars will be out in Game 2 of the Best of 3 series. Rico Black and the Toughen of Tours, led by Francis Arana, Ian Renee, and Jamal Kelly drew first blood and are now ready to close off the Central Health Customs squad, led by the #1 point guard in the land, Glency Cooper Lopez, alongside Akeem Evans and Stephen Wade, seeking to force it all the way to Game 3. Breaking news caught up to a Tough Enough player after their big W. What message you have for the Central Health Customs guys?
Tell them that the series over and we're about to.
All on the floor.
The halftime will feature the young and dynamic Belize superstar Yastalia performing her hit song Tropic.
In the tropics, I'm the hot topic. I built the tribe. I'm living
Just another level! Bring out the entire family this Saturday, November 26th to the Belize Civic Center. Sponsors: Racina's Imports, J&W Supermarket, Mahib's Wholesale, Barefoot Hotel, Cabana Used Clothing, Midway Wholesale, Mirage Belize, Car Guys, Harris Import, Prestige Auto Sales, Cellular World, Posh and Store, VIP Wireless, Nando's Wholesale, Benny's Home Center, Crystal Water, Sprite, Powerade, Travelers, Channel 5 and Channel 7, Creme, Wave, Love FM and More FM. Let's get it on!
Next Gen te lleva a Qatar. Disfruta de la acción en vivo y la emoción de la Copa Mundial Qatar 2022 exclusivamente con Next Gen del 20 de noviembre al 18 de diciembre. Haz el cambio y regístrate hoy. Next Gen, la transmisora oficial de la Copa Mundial de la FIFA en Belice.
Uncut is back this Wednesday at 7:30 on Channel 7 when my guest will be William Dawson. He's the chairman of the Leadership Intervention Unit and he works along with Deputy Commissioner of Police Richard Rosado. They say they're making a difference in the streets by creating a culture of peace between the gangs. But are our communities any safer than they were a year ago? I'll challenge them on that. Tune in to Uncut Wednesday night, 7:30, Channel 7.
Wednesday.
This newscast is brought to you by Cellular World, your authorized Samsung distributor. Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
There is discord within the City Hall tonight, according to sources inside the council. We are reliably informed that coming out of a contentious caucus meeting, the city administrator Stephanie Lindo Garbett is going on a 3-week leave. This reportedly after the mayor went on an offensive against her and expressed significant displeasure with her performance and professional conduct. We understand she even threatened to resign but walked that back and instead opted to take some time away. And while the council has been making good publicity for itself in the wake of Hurricane Lisa, sources tell us that the city administrator may have plenty to be upset about. Our source pointed us to a lucrative contract awarded to a company closely related to a councillor. That $1.2 million contract is the Gel Quarry Limited and was approved at the last caucus to push access roads in the Lake Independence area. Councillor Edmund Kwan is known to be linked to Gel Quarry and is listed on his LinkedIn page as the manager of the company. We'll keep following this story. Last week, we brought you the shocking story of 2022's first triple murder, a brutal assassination in Sand Hill of 3 men, 2 of whom were in their early 20s. It's left that village terrorized by the thought and the reality that such a brutal killing could have happened in their peaceful, secluded corner of rural Belize. Tonight, the news is that while the cops believe that they have both their main suspect and the getaway car, they are hard-pressed to prove any of it.
At this time, our investigation team is still in place. They continue to follow several leads. I know we have the main suspect in custody, but again, getting the evidence to tie him to the crime is extremely difficult due to the fact that there is no eyewitness. We have also found the vehicle that we believe was involved in that particular incident. But again, nobody saw what happened, so we are trying to see what we can come up with that will be able to tie him and his associates to the particular crime.
The cops still believe that the motive behind this shocking triple murder was drug-related. He may be internationally scandalized and locally embattled, but John Saldivar is fiercely holding his ground and maintaining his innocence in a series of lengthy Facebook posts. But hoping to prove that he has nothing to fear, Saldivar will tomorrow host an open press conference. While we will surely be in the front row for that one, yesterday we were on the front line to ask his party leader, Shine Barrow, if he now has to keep his distance from Saldivar, now that the United States has deemed the former minister to be significantly corrupt. And Barrow, some argue, cannot afford to offend the empire because they are the ones that gave him that visa. Well, we asked him about that push and pull, and he was offended at the question. Here's the back and forth.
How much of your own self-interest factors in now that you have to say, listen, I have to preserve my visa. I have to preserve this visa that I fought so hard to get. And I can't be seen within 100 miles of John Saldivar because the State Department has found him to be toxic.
You know, that's a very offensive, vile, and disgusting assertion of the integrity of not just the United States of America, but myself. I am the leader of the opposition. I am the prime minister in waiting. I don't have to dance to anybody's tune in order to be able to travel to the States. I don't travel to the States as a tourist. You just spoke about my last visit to NYU to receive a leadership award and to spread the good name of Belize, to visit the diaspora in California and to meet with the mayor. Whatever decision I make along with my party members has, what the Americans would do has no bearing on that. And in that narrow instance, I go and travel based on my status as a member of the House of Representatives, right? A duly elected member of the House of Representatives, and as a duly elected leader of the opposition. I keep hearing you with this visa narrative as if I am just someone, you know, who got a visa because I hit the jackpot. No, I'm the leader of the opposition, sir. My position here has absolutely nothing to do with that, and everything to do with what is all that we just discussed, how serious this is. The Americans that I know would never take such a ridiculous position that if you don't support our position on John Saldivar, then you can't come to the States. That's absurd.
Tomorrow night, we'll have the full rundown of what came out of John Saldivar's press conference, his first in years. The first male Belizean cyclist has signed a professional contract. Oscar Quiros has signed with the Miami Blazers, which is a U.S. cycling team that rides primarily criterium races. The cyclist announced what he calls a step up from semi-pro races today when he spoke to 7 News via Zoom, telling us how he plans to balance work with his newfound pro career and just how far he's willing to go to win gold for team and country.
It really gives you a great feeling inside, a great feeling of accomplishment deep down, and it kind of, you know, it just makes you feel like your work didn't go unseen. And I'm kind of privileged that these guys, they actually saw this in me, in terms of my attitude, obviously my talent, and of course, you know, what I have to bring to the table. This is at the I believe the domestic professional level in the US. So yes, it is indeed a step up, because in Belize we just practice semi-professional, you know, cycling. So yes, it is a step up, meaning that most of the races, they're at a higher level, obviously, and it's specifically at the criterium level. So it's not necessarily a road race, but it's more at criterium level. Well, the team, being that it's a professional level, they also have their part in terms of providing me with the essentials in terms of training and racing and, you know, food and everything to that extent. You know, they provide me somewhat of a stipend. So in that case, I'd be able to, you know, kind of like fill that in with my job at this point in time. So I will be a little bit more flexible in terms of the hours that I do in terms of work. You know, that's another very touchy thing there, but the point is that I'll be allowed a little bit more time to train, and hence, of course, the recovery part, I'll be able to do better. Whether they require me to be a domestique, a sprinter, a climber, whatever they do, you know, whatever they request, I'm going to do my best at.
The team is linked to two-time Belizean cross-country champ, the US-based Justin Williams, who recruited Quiros. Earlier this year, Belizean cyclist Kaya Katus also signed a one-year contract with pro team LA Sweat. 2 days ago, we told you about 26-year-old Joel Choko. He's the man Lords Bank police caught with a cop's gun. As we reported, when the officers stopped the bus and searched it, they encountered Choko, who attempted to escape through the back door. When the officers intercepted him, he allegedly pulled a firearm from his waist and pointed it at one of the cops. That officer fired a warning, which caused Choko to drop the weapon, leading to his arrest. As we told you, the officers later realized that the weapon he pulled was actually a police-issued firearm, which went missing. Last night, the department sent out a statement saying that the officer who misplaced this weapon was PC Marcos Locarno. He reported to his superiors that on Saturday he went to MJ's nightclub to perform special duty with his police-issued 9mm pistol loaded with 14 live rounds of ammunition. At around 4 a.m. the following day, he took a ride on a motorcycle with a co-worker to the prosecution branch. That's when he realized that the firearm was missing, and he could only remember sitting on a chair and falling asleep. When his superiors asked him to hand in the weapon, he couldn't produce it, and he was unsure if he had arrived at the prosecution branch with the firearm. On Friday, PC Locario appeared in front of a disciplinary tribunal to answer to a single charge of loss by neglect. That tribunal delivered its decision yesterday that Locario should pay a fine of $200. The tribunal also handed him a surcharge of $3,212, the firearm's value and ammunition. Joel Choko, the man who was found with the missing police weapon, was arraigned today in the magistrate's court on the offenses of aggravated assault with a firearm, keeping an unlicensed weapon, and keeping an unlicensed firearm. Since these are gun-related offenses, the magistrate remanded him to prison until January 23rd of next year. Early in the news, we told you about San Pedro's garbage problem, but they're also having a traffic crisis. The island is overrun with golf carts, private vehicles, and large trucks. It's becoming harder to maneuver through traffic and even more difficult to find parking. Today, the area rep told us about the steps they're taking to solve this issue.
First of all, we want to let you know that there is a ban on any more importation of golf carts rentals. As I speak to you, there are several containers on hold because the bringing in of golf carts by these golf cart rental and golf cart dealers are doing it unscrupulously. And you can play around with the the VIN number, and they can do things and sticking around everything. So acutely aware of this. It is a rampant corruption that was occurring from way back, and it has not been easy to go over it. But as I speak to you right now, that has stopped. We have gotten the Ministry of Transport involved in this now. For example, the traffic committee now is no longer working with the council, but rather it's under the Ministry of Transport. What that does is that legislation is passing is that no one can bring in golf carts illegally. You need to have a golf cart permit imported as authorized by the committee, the traffic committee, for you to bring in. The shipping companies know that they no longer can bring a vehicle without any kind of paper. One time they would just bring it in. Now that has stopped. Now that's putting a stop to it. Secondly, right now is we are going to get to the golf cart companies and to register their companies because they get a whole list of their vehicles that they have. And we are setting in a moratorium for golf cart rental because this is one of the bigger problems that we're having. The proliferation of many golf cart rentals, and they're having illegal replacing and just saying, I'm replacing, but they're bringing another one. So they know that we're coming after them. We've sent letters to them. That is one. Secondly, we need to find adequate parking space. Yeah. We're looking at the areas there by Sacachispas. We're looking to rearrange that place there to make it an adequate parking place, especially on the roadsides. But it is a growing problem that has occurred for many years. So many steps are doing, and we're having an important meeting today with the council to discuss this problem as well as we get ready for the busy season, which symbolically it starts this Thursday with this Thanksgiving in the U.S. So already the week is very busy.
Is there a bando on the bigger vehicles?
Yeah. Private vehicles, yes. Private vehicles, yes. For example, people, you have to really justify it. If you're living all the way up north and you're a family, we look at it on a case by case. But there is a moratorium on our golf carts and even the big trucks as well. We have the 10-wheelers, no more of those. They're too big. They take up a lot of space. And also we are designating them to go on the back roads, which are already getting ready to pave as well. So no more 10-wheelers. We believe that 6-wheelers can work adequately, which the council is getting some trucks, but there will be 6-wheelers. But the 10-wheelers are too big, and that's a ban as well.
And that's our newscast for tonight. Thanks for watching. With your news, I'm Indra Craig. Remember, you can find a full transcript of the news at 7newsbelize.com and see streaming video on our Facebook page. Stay tuned for Uncut with Jules Vasquez, which is coming up in the next 15 minutes. Have a great night, stay safe, and join me back here tomorrow at 6.